Well, hello again folks, and I hope you're all in good health. As you can see, I'm back out on the hill, hoping to get hooded crows or magpies. But it's a very eerie and still morning up here, with a lot of low cloud or mist about. There's hardly a breath of air, and it's so quiet, except for the odd chirp from a robin or wren in next where the hide is. As is the norm with me, I'm setting out a dead rabbit for bait, which I split open and make it look as if a fox has killed it through the night but not eaten all of it, and also a dead hooded crow for a decoy, which I set up on a little wire cradle that I make to make it look as if it's standing on its own 2 feet. Again, I am using the little pop-up hide with one of the stealth 2-ply nets draped around it with some extra raffia grass tied into it. The rifle I'm using this morning again is my CZ527 Varmint chambered in 17 Hornet, which I'm using hand-loaded 17 grain VMAX bullets. The scope that I'm using is a Miopta 4-16x44 tactical. The moderator is a 17 caliber Wildcat Panther. And last but not least, the scope cam is the Tacticam 5.0 and FTS unit. Now, I waited here patiently for must have been 3 hours before hide nor hair of anything showed up. The first of which was this magpie, which perched itself on top of that little tree there, which really isn't a safe shot to be taken with a centre fire. But thankfully it wasn't too long before it came down onto the ground to check out the rabbit. It was very quickly followed by a second bird. Now I know what you're thinking. Shoot it now. But hold on, I can hear a hooded crow in the background. And if I shoot one of the magpies now, the hooded crow's going to fly off and never come near me. So I'm going to show patience, as the bird is sitting on top of I don't know whether it's a pylon or an aerial, way in the distance. It's sitting up there, watching everything. So the magpies get a free dinner pass for now, as I'm basically using them as live decoys to help encourage the hooded crows down. And it seems to be working, as a hooded crow has dropped down in on top of the little tree. Again, not a safe shot, but with the magpies merrily feeding away on the rabbit below it, I'm sure it won't be long till temptation gets the better of it. Any minute now, I'm sure of it. Yes, it'll drop down in. Yes, positively. But before it finally makes its mind up, a second hooded crow appears from the right and drops straight down in. It's definitely not hanging about, as it's very quick to push the magpies off the carcass. It's at this point I remembered I didn't have a cartridge in the chamber, as I unloaded the rifle to go for a pee earlier. Thankfully though, the sound didn't spook the crow, though I do think he heard it. Not that it did him much good now. Well, that's one down. Of course, the second bird flew off. But after about 10 minutes or so, it came back again. But again, as before, it landed on top of the little tree. But I never got an opportunity at it, as it flew off soon after, before ever touching the ground. The magpies, however, were very quick to come back to the rabbit, even with the dead crow laying beside it. The second hooded crow retreated back to its lofty perch, where you could hear it crow and scowl away in the distance now and again while the magpies fed away on the rabbit. I waited round for an hour or so to see if the hooded crow would come back again, but no such luck, as it finally flew off never to be seen again. So that meant the magpie's free dinner pass was now revoked, and the next time one came down, it was mine. Now, one of the reasons I like setting up here is that if any of the birds land on those fence posts, I've still got a safe shot with the rising ground behind it, and they quite often do. I don't think the microphone picked it up too well, but that impact was quite loud on such a still morning. I gave it another half an hour, then went out to set the two birds up as decoys, hopefully without toppling this wall on top of myself. Sometimes those little 17 Hornet cases can be a wee bit finicky to chamber, if you try to baby them in, that is. Well, it took a lot of waiting and a lot of patience, but another bird has turned up, the second magpie. Not the hooded crow I was hoping for, but beggars can't be choosers, hey. But probably after watching his mate go up in a puff of feathers, he's not making it easy for me, and keeps dodging and diving in among this old stone wall. What? Where the heck did he go now? There he is. Now stay still, you little scur. Well, again I waited around for another hour or so, but things went deadly quiet after that, so I decided to call it a morning. Well, let's see how I done. The crow was shot, and I set up in a little steel spike to try and bring his mate down, which didn't work, unfortunately. A dead rabbit that the magpies were hoping away at. My decoy bird, which is set up in a little wire cradle I make it look as if it's sitting on its feet. But we did get a couple of magpies. That one there, again, I set up a piece of wire to make it look as if it is alive, and it worked. I got the second magpie just across over those stones. I turned this one over but there's nothing holding its guts in at the minute, so we'll go look for this other one. There's what's left of it there. There's bits of feathers and magpies everywhere. Didn't do as much damage to the hooded crow, the little 17 Hornet, but man, it definitely put the two magpies in a crash diet, that's for sure. Very still and quiet up here today. Can be quite a bleak place this time of year, but it's nice to be out and up here anyway. I'll just tidy up after myself before I go. The magpies went into the hedgerow, and the hooded crow came home with me to use as a decoy on another day. Well, just the 3 birds today, but at least it stayed dry. And I had to do a wee bit of reconstructive surgery to that middle magpie, as literally there's nothing holding the top and bottom half together. Really, there's only 2/3 of it there. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and look after yourselves and take care, hey.